Happy afternoon.
What's up, everyone?
Welcome to our SPASIGMA Personality Quotient live stream. I'm Heidi Priebe.
And I'm Denzel Mensah.
We matched today. We're both wearing like geometric.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even notice that. That's cool. I just need my glasses now.
Today we're talking about SJ personalities.
Mm. David Kiersey called the SJs the Guardians, also the traditionalists. And this isn't necessarily to say that all SJs are like traditional, but what all SJs have in common is a cognitive function called SI, which has to do with like their impressions, what has been tried and true, what's reliable, and that can go back to what is deemed as traditional. They usually know the proper way on how to go about doing something based on how things have already been done.
Well, I grew up in a family of SJs actually. So
Mm.
me and three SJs and one SP. And everything was only trusted insofar as it is proven to be true. So they're people who really quality matters a lot to them in every aspect of their lives. They want to make sure they're getting kind of the best of the best, and that's that SI influence. We kind of give the title intellectual to NTs, but SJs have this incredible capacity because they have that SI that just collects information and collects it and collects it and roots through it and can store it. Often they just have this incredible depth of knowledge when they get interested in a topic. Like they go really deep. So you get this kind of serious focused vibe from them a lot of the time. That's usually like my first kind of tell if I'm just looking at how to put someone or how to recognize whether someone's in the SJ temperament group. You get that kind of focused, serious vibe. Not that they can't lighten up and have fun. They absolutely can and they do. But their natural state is to kind of pick up on things and focus in on things. So when you're talking to them, you're getting this presence from them. You're getting like they'll maybe repeat something small that you've said. Or they're the kind of people who will like remember, especially SFJs. I think I dated an ISFJ for a really long time, and literally, like he would remember something I'd said like 8 months ago, and then get me a gift surrounding that when it was the holidays. Like they just have this incredible memory for details of things that either people have said to them, or with STJs, they often have like this incredible bank of knowledge on the topics that they're interested in. If they're like, scientists or whatever, they can just recall things with this incredible capacity. So that's something that I kind of look at as a unification of the SJ temperament group, that ability to remember and store a large amount of information without getting kind of lost in it. Like they kind of seem to have a very natural way of keeping it in order in their minds.
SI is, like we said, the consistent function for all SJs. So this is the ESFJ, the ISFJ, the ESTJ, and the ISTJ. They either use SI, also known as introverted sensing, as their dominant function or their second function slash auxiliary function, which we'll get much deeper into in like later live stream videos. But in essence, this function is really good at, like Heidi said, picking up the details and zooming in on that. So if SE, like what the SPs use, extroverted sensing, it captures everything that's going on right now in the moment. But one thing that I found was interesting to contrast from SE that Michael Pierce said in one of his videos was that SI, the ones that SJs use, all these letters, they zoom in on exactly like a kind of like a detail. And I guess we can start with ESFJ since I'm about to like comment on some ESFJs. What I've realized is that ESFJs, they're really keen on detail. Like they are really good at like I said, like remembering people's names, remembering like the dates and everything. And they not necessarily are like nitpicky, but they can come off that way because they can like cover holes so well, as opposed to like maybe like me as an ENFJ being so big picture oriented. I can like skip over some holes, and then I would have to have like someone be like, "Oh, like did you think about this?" I'm like, "Oh yeah." And so that's one thing that I would definitely note about ESFJs. Also, they're extremely nice. majority of the time. You like I'd see them as the types that are like usually I think that they are usually popular because they lead with FE oftentimes. So like they know um like how to treat other people oftentimes. They know how to like manage like other people's emotions. People go to them for advice and they usually are just like very kind.
Maybe this is a controversial thing to say, but I think like a healthy ESFJ, one who's using
Hmm.
their functions for good, is like maybe the nicest, kindest, most caring of all the types. An
I agree.
unhealthy ESFJ is, in my opinion, probably the least caring and kind of all the types
I
because
agree.
that tendency for like yeah, like you said, like Regina George, like Blair Waldorf from Gossip Girl, like
Sharpay from High School Musical.
I haven't
I
seen it. I'll go with you on that.
Wow.
Because they're so good at picking up on what people's like motivations and needs are, and what a group is thinking. They're able to
Yeah.
use that for good and for evil. But then on the other end of the spectrum, you have like Leslie Knope, like the world's most ESFJ.
Yes.
The picture of like this wonderful, healthy ESFJ who just cares so much and
Oh man.
whole life like trying to improve their community and make the people around them happy.
Hmm.
And I love actually thinking of her as an example of an ESFJ because what you really see is that beautiful merging of like the SJ ability for like detail and organization and structure merged with that intense feeling. And I think that
Yeah.
what I look for when I'm looking for an ESFJ is like someone who they do have that extreme sense of diligence that you see in like ESTJs or ISTJs, but then they couple it with this just overwhelming like sense of care for the people around them. I see a lot of ESFJs in managerial positions,
Hmm.
and just or like as teachers or positions where they're just working with people and they're managing them really effectively. I feel like that's where I see the most ESFJs in real life is in those kind of like managerial roles.
For those of you who don't know, it's Leslie Knope from Parks and Recreation. Great show. She also has a really good handle on her NE, her like the ESFJ's tertiary function of extrovert intuition, which is she uses her SI to look at like what's been done already, but then she uses her NE to come up with all of these ideas and potential ways on like how to further implement like like what has already been done and to like decorate it in certain ways. And I feel like I personally feel like that's really good because most sensors and especially like ESFJs, like I feel like you guys get bullied a lot in the MBTI community, and people are like, "Oh, you guys are basic, you guys are this, you guys are that." But the ESFJs that I know, they really do have a good handle on their intuition a lot of times because everybody has intuition in their function stack, and I feel like something that they're not credited for oftentimes is like how well they are able to like think outside the box, but they're just best off and they just more like to rely on what has already been tried and true. They have the control of an ESTJ with the kindness of an ISFJ.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much like how I see them. Like the ESFJs that I know, although they are really nice and they're really warm, majority of the time, they can also be like you do not want to mess with them because they can be rigid and they can be like able to like they're not incapable of taking control and leading and saying like, okay, this is what we got to do, and this like all of that, like, so their feelings would not get in the way and cause them to like work inefficiently.
Very much so. If anything, I think they use their feelings to help them like harness other people and like get jobs done.
Yeah.
They're not a type that gets like distracted by their feelings in that sense.
Yeah, and they become the embodiment of the group too. That's something also that Michael Pierce said. Like they can embody what the group stands for
Yeah.
oftentimes. Yeah.
But yeah, it's a really powerful combination when you get that axis between SI and NE going because they have this incredible wealth of all of what's worked in the past and like what's traditionally accepted and then you pair it with NE and it's like wow, now all of a sudden you're like looking at how to twist that, how to change it and how to make it better,
Yeah.
and like it's a really cool thing to see. ESTJ is an interesting type because I feel like it's kind of like ESFJs, where you get the very unhealthy ones and the very healthy ones. And
Yeah.
I think often the very healthy ones are hard to identify because we have this idea in our head of ESTJs as like, these like drill sergeants, and
I'm glad I'm not alone.
like they can be that way. They can be very opinionated, very in your face, and very
Mhm.
inflexible. But when they're healthy, they are honestly some of the most genuinely caring and protective people. Like they will just go to the ends of the earth to help the people in their lives, to help the people they love. And there's nothing, there's nothing in their cognitive stacking that implies that they have to become that drill sergeant mentality, right? That's kind of like TE to the extreme. So you will get those ESTJs who are kind of like in your face saying, this is my way, this is the best way, we're going to do it this way, we're going to not hear anyone else's way. But you also get types who, because they're so logical, they just kind of look at things as like, if you're doing things your way and that's working for you, and I'm doing things my way and it's working for me, great. It's logical for us all to continue doing that. Yeah. And then I think, I think the majority of them that are healthy are like that. So if anything, you'll just get these people who are incredibly efficient. They're incredibly organized and together, and they're always, working towards their next goal. And they definitely always have that gregarious side. Like I think even healthy ESTJs, you're gonna get them out of their shell, and they're gonna be like out there bouncing around and poking fun at people and having fun. But
yeah.
like they have like a very playful
They
side.
do.
You have to like, know, kind of come to understand that that's how they are. You could almost mistake them for ESFJs because they can be so protective and so caring about the groups that they're a part of. They just do it in a different way. So where an ESFJ wants to like nurture your feelings and like really be like warm and open with you and talk to you about how you're feeling and what you're experiencing, the ESTJ takes care of you by like learning what you need and giving you that. And they're very protective. They're very sheltering of the people that they love and want to take care of. So ESTJs can very much be those like mama and papa bears. It just comes across in a different way than it does from ESFJs.
I said that the ESTJs have the dark humor of an ENTP, which, like they joke around like how ENTPs usually do, with the common sense of an ISTJ. And you hit the nail on the head when you said like sometimes it's hard to tell between the ESTJ and the ESFJ, because just a couple of weeks ago, like I've been realizing a lot of times that, just like I was saying with the ESFJ, how I know quite a few of them, I work with them, and they're able to like really take control, and it makes me wonder, like, are they really ESTJ? But I know that they're ESFJ. In the same sense. The ESTJs, like some ESTJs that I know, I used to previously think that they were ESFJ, and because it surprised me how originally when I started learning about type, I thought of ESTJs as the types who are like always like, if you watch like police shows and stuff, like they'd be like the commanding officer, like, well, make sure that you get there, and like they just tell, well, what are you still waiting for? Like, go, and they're correcting everyone. But like you said, like they're not always the drill sergeant. A lot of times they can be. And if you see one, they probably are ESTJ, but they also bring like a very warm side to them a lot of times, which you wouldn't expect, because it's like, oh wait, I thought you were a TE user. I thought you were you were to run over people and everything. But then I get really surprised. I'm like, you could really come off as a feeler because you are so kind, and especially when they see that like in being kind, that's how you get things done, then they have a really good grip on being able to do that.
So ISTJs can be tricky. I feel like a lot of them get mistaken for INTJs, and a lot of them also mistaken for ISFJs, because what's interesting is that, maybe this is just me, but of all of the types, I feel like their tertiary function is so strong. Like I find this with INTJs as well, but for some reason, I just see the first thing I notice about ISTJs tends to be their tertiary introverted feeling, because it kind of guides everything they do. They're so principled. And I'll see people say like, oh, this character was like so moral, they must be like an INFP because they lead with FI. And I'm like, nah, man, like INFPs are moral, sure, but it's a different form of morality. It's more fluid because it's in a dominant position. Whereas when you get it in third place, it's there and it's sticking, and it guides so much of their behavior. So I see a lot of ISTJs like leading community groups, working with people. I honestly see them they're not bleeding hearts, like they're not personally as affected by, some of the things that might emotionally impact like an INFP, but they really have this sense of duty and diligence, and it guides their entire life. Like everything is kind of oriented towards the world that they want to see or the change that they want to make. And that's kind of the first tell for me that someone is an ISTJ, is that intense sense of like duty and honor and diligence.
The strong grip to values of an INFP, so like you were saying, principled, with the rigid commanding nature of an ESTJ. And that's kind of like how that's how I differentiate like an ISTJ from an INFP like a lot of times, because the INFPs, they're not really comfortable using TE, but they still grip hard to like their FI being their dominant function. But the ISTJ is able to both use like FI and TE and like press that forward. Previously, before I got into MBTI, like I didn't really get along with ISTJs. They didn't really like me much. I didn't really like them. We just always had conflict. And I had this mindset like, oh, they're all like, rude and mean and everything. But like I said, with the ESTJ, I've met a few who are actually like really warm and really sensitive. They're not as stoic. And they're really hard workers. My ISTJ friend, she works so hard, like, and she's so organized. She always had like straight A's in high school, like came out like top at her school. Then she did very well in college. Now she's doing very well in grad school. And she's just really, really diligent. She manages her time wisely. When she says that she's going to sleep at 11 o'clock or 10:30, she's going to sleep at 11 o'clock or 10:30. And they're just really good at like staying on task. I know another ISTJ, and she works just as hard. And another thing is like, I feel like they don't give themselves enough credit for how hard they work. Like I'm always like telling both Shantae and Kelsey, like, wow, I really admire like your effort and your like effectiveness and the way that you carry this out. And they just like think like, no, I'm not doing enough. I'm not doing enough. And they also see things as like common sense oftentimes. Like I'll be like, wow, I wouldn't have thought about it that way. That was like really good job. And they're like, no, that's just what it is. So once again, they don't give themselves like enough credit because they see like to them, things just come so easily, and they don't see like how much of a gift it is oftentimes. But yeah, they're absolutely great. And they definitely do stick very well to their values and passions.
These people just put so much time and effort into things, and often when they're not asked to, and they don't ask for any recognition, they just
they don't.
They're driven by that tertiary FI that's that just connects to these causes that they have, whether it's like even if it's like a job at a place they don't really care about, like they're still there 15 minutes early, like making sure everything's taken care of, and it's a really powerful thing. Like ISTJs are kind of the backbone of like what keeps the world running, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like, it's like they see, the problems that are going to arise, and they're able to, like you said, like they have that sense of like, I don't even want to call it pessimism, but like that ability to foresee how things could turn out negatively.
Yeah.
And they're like, fix it because no one else can do.
Yeah, exactly.
ISFJ, the first thing that comes to mind whenever I'm talking to an ISFJ, I meet someone in ISFJ and they're an ISFJ, I feel through conversation with them like someone is like wrapping me in a warm blanket and like giving me a hug, because they're just so genuinely nice and present with you. Like I love ISFJ. I mean, I love all the types, but like whenever I meet an ISFJ, I'm just like, it's just lovely to be in your presence, because they so deeply focus on the people they're talking to, and they really do care about whether people are happy, whether they're comfortable. And it's always quite apparent to me pretty quickly. Like they kind of like mirror you. Like they'll kind of not repeat what you're saying, but they'll kind of like speak in the style that you're speaking, and they'll kind of like tilt their head if you're tilting their head. Like they really have all these little things that they're just constantly doing to make the people they're talking to feel comfortable. Yeah. And it's really cool. It's a really cool experience.
the compound that I put for them was the reserved nature of an ISFP. So they kind of give off a similar energy or vibe to me personally as an ISFP would, but they have the hospitality of an ESFJ, which you were pretty much like just speaking of. Like I think of my mom as an ISFJ, like as an ISFJ, she will literally go homeless in order to like get me through school, in order to like do this, in order to do that. She is so thoughtful and so supportive with everything, and she cares so much about not only her kids but like just everyone. And then she does not even like need the recognition. I also think of like my grandmother, who handles all the duties in the house so like effortlessly, and like they don't even expect appreciation. A lot of the times they just do what needs to be done, kind of in a similar way like the ISTJ does. Yeah, that's one thing that I've noticed about ISFJs, or many few things that I've noticed about ISFJs. Like they're reserved, but they're so kind, and they deserve a lot of appreciation.
Yeah, here's something I was going to say about ISFJs as opposed to ISTJs. I feel like ISTJs, they do work behind the scenes like extremely hard, extremely diligently because they want to get the job done. That's kind of a reward in itself. ISFJs have that similar thing, like you were just saying, like they don't ever ask for appreciation. What I've learned is they want appreciation.
Yeah.
They have that feed. So they won't ask for it because they believe it's like kind of their duty to give to people and to care for people they love, and they do such a good job for it. But exact same as ISTJs, I think every ISFJ in the world right now is being underappreciated for something they're doing. So I think we should all in it and just text an ISFJ we know and just say, thanks for this thing you do for me all the time. Because if you know an ISFJ, they probably do something for you all the time that they ask for no recognition for.
SJs actually keep the world running. That's one thing that we definitely have to like mention. Like SJs make up, I think, is it 70% of the population? According to statistics, they make up like quite a vast amount of the population. And yeah, and they keep the world running. Like if it was just intuitives, everything would be like updating like really quickly. Like I think about the Apple
updating, because there's nobody working behind. There would be nobody like making the updates. Like there would be a bunch of people sitting around a table with ideas for updating, but nothing would be. no one would be there carrying it out. I think we should end on a call to action for everyone to find an ISFJ, an ISTJ, an ESTJ, an ESFJ in their life today, and just shoot them a text and tell them, hey, you know, I appreciate you. You do a lot.
Find 2 to 3.
Find as many as you can find, but like I don't know how much time I have today. It's a Friday, maybe they're busy at work, but find at least one and just give them a thank you, because they're not thanked enough, and they should be.
Yeah. But yeah, thanks again for watching, guys. Make sure to leave comments. We'll get to that throughout the week.
All right.
You have anything left to say? Yeah.
See you next Friday.
I'm David Bowder, CEO of SPASIGMA. Every day, each of us is surrounded by a great diversity of people, and indeed, personalities. Some people we find it very easy to relate to. Others, not so much so. Our program exists to help you make sense of your own personality, as well as the diverse personalities around you, to help you improve both your personal and professional lives. Shakespeare said, "To thine own self be true." We'll teach you to understand how to reach the diverse personalities around you, to communicate with them in a way that integrates who you are with who they are. So enough talk about all this. Welcome to SPASIGMA's Personality Quotient PQ program. Enjoy the journey.